Okay, let's get into this. Have you ever really stopped to think about it? What happens when the star, the guy the whole team revolves around, isn't actually on the field?
Right.
In pro football, that backup quarterback job, it's huge. More than just sitting on the bench, they're like the ultimate insurance policy.
They're absolutely critical.
And right now, with the Dallas Cowboys, there's this quarterback who's been, well, kind of the quiet talk of their preseason.
Mm-hmm.
We're not actually focusing on Dak Prescott today. It's the guy potentially right behind him, Joe Milton. What's the real story going on there?
Well, what's fascinating, I think, is just the sheer amount of pressure, but also the massive opportunity that's all wrapped up in that backup QB role.
Yeah.
Especially for a team like the Cowboys, with their sights set high. We're talking about a spot that needs readiness, sure, but also potential. Someone who can step in and, well, not just keep the ship afloat, but maybe even lift the team.
Exactly. And look, our insights today, they're not just coming from like fan forums or anything. This comes straight from the source, recent reports, comments from the Cowboys coaches, even ownership.
Yeah, the people making the decisions.
Right. This gives us a real window into how an NFL team actually looks at raw talent, how they gauge potential, under the spotlight, and make these really big calls that shape their future.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission here is really to pull out the key pieces of info, the surprising bits maybe from these reports. We want to help you understand not just who is in the mix, but how these evaluations happen and honestly why it matters for where the team is headed.
It's a pretty rare look inside the strategy and, the human side of building a roster at this level. It really is.
So let's talk stakes then. Beyond the obvious what if the starter gets hurt, why is that number 2 QB spot so vital? Especially for a team like Dallas with Dak Prescott locked in.
Right.
You've got Joe Milton battling it out with Will Grier. This feels like more than just your standard training camp competition, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You're spot on. If you think bigger picture, having a truly solid backup, it's fundamental for any team that seriously thinks they can make a Super Bowl run.
It's the emergency plan.
Exactly, the break glass plan. But one you constantly have to keep ready. Think about it. The starting QB can go down any play, any game in a long, tough season.
Yeah.
And the difference between, a team's whole season just falling apart versus keeping things on track, it often comes down completely to how good that next guy is. It's one of those spots on the depth chart people ignore until suddenly it's maybe the most important job on the team. It's that safety net, right?
Yeah.
Allows the team to handle the bumps and bruises that inevitably happen.
And Milton's path to Dallas, it's interesting too. He wasn't drafted there. They got him from the Patriots.
That's right.
Dallas sent a 2025 fifth-rounder to New England for Milton plus a seventh back. That feels, well, like a decent investment for a backup, wouldn't you say?
It does.
Especially for a player known for having supposedly one of the strongest arms in the NFL, but who was, available. What was it about him that made them make that move?
That's a really good point because Milton's journey here, it kind of shows the tough realities of NFL roster shuffling.
Yeah.
Even though, like you said, he finished strong in New England, had his best game actually in their finale against Buffalo, a playoff team. 22 for 29, 241 yards, a touchdown pass, ran one into, ended up with a 111.4 passer rating. Really impressive stuff.
Wait, hang on. He played like that, a 111.4 rating against a playoff team, and they still let him go?
Yeah.
That just sounds wrong. That's the kind of game you think locks up a roster spot, not gets you traded.
It does seem that way, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. It shows it's not just about how you play sometimes. It's about strategy, maybe contracts, team fit.
Okay.
The Patriots had signed Josh Dobbs to a 2-year deal back in March, and that basically made Milton, who was a former 6th-round pick, expendable despite that good game.
So Dobbs' contract pushed him out.
Seems like it played a big role. Even with those flashes of talent, the team decided their strategy, their finances, pointed elsewhere. So Milton, who apparently grew up a Cowboys fan, lands in Dallas the next month, initially seen as maybe just a low-cost depth option. It just shows how fast things pivot in the NFL based on a team's bigger plan, not just, the last box score.
Well, his arrival set up his first preseason game for the Cowboys against the Chargers, and it was definitely a test. He played 59 snaps. That's a lot for a debut.
That's a heavy workload, yeah.
And Coach Brian Schottenheimer called it a roller coaster of sorts. Milton went 17 of 29, 143 yards, 1 TD, 1 pick. Ran for 22 yards too, but bruised his elbow. So the numbers. They look okay, maybe a bit messy.
Right, on paper it's mixed.
But the way the coaches talked about it afterwards, that tells a very different story about how they saw that performance.
That's the really crucial thing here. The key takeaway isn't just the stats. It's how the coaches read his process on the field. Schottenheimer pointed out that after that rocky start, Milton, quote, calmed down, he figured it out. He saw that second half as a real positive, saying Milton played really well and did some really good things.
So not just coach speak.
I don't think so. I think it points to Milton's ability to adjust, under fire and learn on the fly.
Yeah.
For a young guy developing, that's maybe more important than a perfect stat line. Shows resilience, which you absolutely need at quarterback.
That adaptability, that resilience, that seems to be exactly what Coach Schottenheimer is honing in on, right?
Yes.
His whole approach to Milton is pretty interesting. He actually said, I think our plan all along has been that we need to find out about Joe Milton.
Mm-hmm.
And then he added, under no circumstance am I panicked or worried about Joe Milton. That lack of panic, especially after a roller coaster game. That's pretty telling. But why is that specific, tailored approach so important for a backup QB?
That's a great question, because it's not just about coaching technique. It shows this, micro-strategy, where top coaches really prioritize adapting how they teach to how that specific player learns.
Right.
And for a backup, that's extra critical because they have to soak up a complex playbook fast, often with fewer practice reps, and then be ready to execute it perfectly with basically zero notice.
Yeah, high pressure.
Huge pressure. Schottenheimer even explained it himself. He said, I need to get to learn him as the play caller. I don't need to learn Dak. I feel like I don't really need to learn Will. So it's more of that. It's more of me having to learn Joe.
Ah, okay. So it's about the coach learning the player too.
Exactly. It highlights this really personalized development plan. The coach is actively trying to figure out Milton's tendencies, his strengths, where he needs targeted help. It's not about jamming him into a system. It's about fitting the coaching to him.
So it's like a two-way street then. Coach learning the player, player learning the system. Okay, with that in mind, what specific things did Schottenheimer point to for Milton to work on? Because even with the positives, there's always room for improvement, right? Especially for a developing guy in that kind of role.
Absolutely. And what's interesting isn't just the criticism, but the underlying belief that fixing these little things is how you become a great pro. It's about refining the small stuff.
Like what specifically?
Schottenheimer specifically wants Milton to be more mindful of check down opportunities. Those safer, shorter throws that keep the offense moving when the deep shot isn't there.
Right. Keep the chains moving, find a rhythm.
Exactly. Finding rhythm. He called Milton's first snaps a great learning experience and basically said he expects him to be better next time out. The coach kept emphasizing the potential, the growth, calling Milton a terrific talent that every rep he gets is going to help him become a great pro. So it's clearly not just about this one preseason game. It's this longer-term investment in his development as a professional.
And it seems like that positive feeling isn't just coming from the coaching side. The owner, Jerry Jones, he was also reportedly pleased with Milton's progress even before that first game. Jones actually said, I really have to pinch myself that we got him after the last game that he had up there, starting there for New England. I mean, that's huge praise from the very top.
It really is. And what's fascinating there is how that kind of high-level backing sort of validates the whole scouting and coaching effort.
Right.
For a player who came in tagged as a low-cost depth option, hearing that isn't just nice. It signals he's beating expectations internally and maybe carving out a real spot in their future plans.
Did Jones say anything after the game, too?
He did. He added after Milton's debut something like, he hasn't disappointed. We're just more and more encouraged by what we're seeing.
Wow.
Yeah. That kind of unified belief from the coaches and the owner, that can be incredibly powerful for a player's confidence and how they develop within that team structure. It suggests everyone's on the same page about his potential.
So wrapping this up a bit, what we're seeing with the Cowboys in Joe Milton, it's just a great example of how complex evaluating a quarterback is, especially for that crucial backup job. It takes the coach's honest feedback, like from Schottenheimer, the actual stats from the game, but also that bigger picture view from ownership like Jerry Jones. It's not just about finding a temporary fill-in. It seems like they're actively trying to develop this talent, maybe find a diamond in the rough.
And for you listening, whether you're deep into football or just interested in how talent gets spotted and nurtured in any competitive field, this whole dynamic is really important.
Yeah.
It's about way more than just the score of one preseason game. It's about the strategic choices, the human side of growth and development, and that belief in potential that really fuels success at this level. It shows you just how much happens behind the curtain, beyond what we see on Sundays.
It really does. It's about spotting that unique talent, guiding it through those inevitable roller coasters, like the coach said, and giving it the chance to become something really valuable.
Absolutely. Milton's story so far, it's really about resilience, adapting, and just the complex math of building an NFL roster.
Which leaves us with maybe one last thing to chew on. Given how up and down just one preseason game can be, how much can a team really find out about a player like Joe Milton in such a short time? And what does it actually take for someone who starts as a low-cost depth option to truly cement themselves as a long-term piece in the, let's face it, unforgiving world of pro sports?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it keeps evolving with every single snap.